we're back with another video today, and we want to talk about sourdough. This is such a big topic that we're going to do part 1 and part 2. Part 1 today we'll just focus on the benefits of sourdough and like why do we care? Why don't we just eat a quick rise bread versus a sourdough? And we'll talk about the starter, how to start your starter, and share some links with you, some resources. So this will be part 1, and we'll do part 2 probably in the kitchen making a bread. So I had rheumatoid arthritis for 12 years, tons of pain, surgeries, like nightmare, and part of gaining my health back was like learning about which foods are going to be really nourishing. And for a long time I noticed that I maybe felt better not eating wheat, and so I kind of deemed wheat like the enemy and went gluten-free for almost 2 years, until my doctor was like, you need to be eating sourdough, you have to eat sourdough. I love Caroline, Dr. Caroline Shear, so much. And so I don't know, maybe 4 months ago or less, I started eating sourdough breads, and she explained why, and I had learned a lot too about why. So you've become like an expert in sourdough, so tell us, like, why do we care? Why don't we eat just a quick biscuit or pancakes, normal pancakes and stuff like that?
Well, it's been my latest culinary hobby. And why sourdough? Well, basically because it tastes awesome, it's delicious, and the health benefits, it is more nutritious and it is healthy for you. Is it technically gluten-free? No, it's not. But the yeast in sourdough and the slow fermentation, you cannot substitute time in anything. So that helps to break down the gluten and the proteins, gliadin, and some of the other proteins are broken down by the yeast in the sourdough, make it more easily digestible for us. And it also helps, makes the minerals more bioavailable to us. If you want to get into the science, you have a scientific mind, the book on food and on science and food.
No, On Food and Cooking with Harold McGee.
On Food and Cooking, Harold McGee. That is an excellent source for scientifically minded people if you want to read more about the yeast process, the biological process of what happens to the starches and the proteins in the yeast and how it affects our body.
And I have a lot of clients that'll say, I don't want to eat, I feel better not eating wheat. And I feel like most of the wheat they're probably eating, and I'm not telling them by any means to start eating wheat. This could be a process with your doctor. However, I feel like we all have, so many people are suffering from poor gut health. So because of glyphosate, which is a pesticide known as Roundup. If you're not familiar with glyphosate, it's pretty much the enemy in the food world, the hidden enemy, the hidden devil, and it drills holes in the lining of your gut. So of course you go to eat wheat and beans and all these things that glyphosate is on, and it drills holes and it causes all kinds of problems. So part 1 is you need to repair all of that damage, but that's, we'll just focus on the benefits of sourdough because we could talk about glyphosate and all that stuff forever. But how do you know how long to ferment a bread?
Well, yes, since we're talking about sourdough, we have to only speak about organic flour here. Once you mix glyphosate into your recipe, you're never going to get that out. So no matter how much bacteria you have or how beneficial it is, that's not coming out. So that's out of the picture. We have organically grown, non-GMO wheat, easily digestible for us with the enzymes and bacteria that broke it down. In the sourdough, typically you probably want to go minimum 15 hours. Depends what kind of wheat you're using, how much protein it has. Even the temperature and atmosphere have a little bit to do with it. Colder, it takes longer. Warmer, it goes quicker. But you can go anywhere from 15 hours to 72 hours.
Which is what you typically do.
I'll do some, maybe 8 hours outside at room temperature, then fridge for 12 hours, then back out to room temperature another 4 hours, and then bake. That would be a sourdough loaf. The pizza dough is a little different. You can, once it gets back to room temperature, you can stretch it. You'll know right away when you start dealing with sourdough, when the dough changes, how it feels in your hand, that it's ready to go. There's going to be a link down below to our video of where I got my sourdough starter.
Oh, show us your starter.
Here's the starter. I just I've had it in here now. It was born, I remember specifically April 20th. I fed it for the first time. Feeding it means you add water and flour to it.
What does it smell like?
It smells like delicious beer.
Really? Cool. That's
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing.
Like
so
sour
in that
beer.
jar is just literally this packet that you get in the mail. We'll share the link, and water and flour. It's just 3 ingredients, always, ever.
Yeah.
And the main benefits to make a sourdough bread is, there's three main benefits.
The benefits, yes.
Yeah, 3 main benefits is what the enzymes are the.
Well, we break down food in our bodies. No matter what you eat, enzymes break down the food that we digest in our body. How do we get enzymes? The bacteria makes it for us.
The bacteria in our body?
The bacteria in our gut lining is making enzymes to break down the food, but in this case we have reinforcements that are outside. This is what we are adding. That is the starter. It's bacteria. They said probably in ancient times it came from the skin of grapes, which is also what ferments our wine.
Speaking of wine, this is Scout and Cellar Delicious, only sponsored by, just kidding. But yeah, we've got some fermented grapes. I mean, goes way back in history.
We've been living with these bacteria and these fungi in us, outside of us. We can't live without them. And they make our bread taste better. So they start to break down the starches. They help process the proteins before you even eat it. You get maybe 50% more breakdown in this fermentation process, which means it's more bioavailable to you. You will not feel bloated. You will not have a blood sugar spike when you eat sourdough bread. And people that have gluten sensitivities can eat sourdough bread and not have any reaction. So we're not doctors, but we have read a lot about this, and learning about sourdough and learning how to cook with it, and especially eating it, I know I feel different when it's sourdough, and that's all we use now, whether it be for French bread, or Cuban bread, crackers, pizza dough, anything.
You made homemade pate with Bel Campo chicken livers the other day, and then I requested rye sourdough crackers. So you made crackers, we made pizza dough. You can use it for pancakes, obviously all the breads, English muffins. So once you have it, in part 2, we'll start to show you some recipes and how to work with it. But in this video, we really just wanted to focus on the benefits of, and really the reason you don't want to use a quick rise is because none of those proteins in the flour have had time to break down, and that's what makes you feel like, ugh, so full, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to sharing some techniques and how to deal with the sourdough and how to make some bread, because then we get to eat it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And when you eat it, I always say, and you always remind me too, chew until liquid. Chew until liquid. Whatever it is you're eating, always chew until liquid. It sounds crazy, but in order to help your body digest everything, it's always good to chew your food over and over and over.
Oh, guess what's happening in there? It's enzymes getting to work on your food.
You're so smart. All right, we'll see you next time for part 2.